So this one's going to be a little bit different. We're not featuring a profile. Instead, we're going to be doing a bit of coaching of a video that was sent in by one of our viewers. If you are interested in this kind of stuff and you want to be featured, then record yourself playing a game and maybe just tweet at us or something like that at the Sableyes_YT. And yeah, we'll be more than happy to take a look at your gameplay and give you a bit of a helping hand. If you like this type of content and you want to see more, then please consider subscribing. Only about 30% of people who watch our content are subscribed, and it only takes a second to do. You can always unsubscribe if you like. So without further ado, we'll jump into the intro and show you some gameplay as well as a little bit of advice. Free advice, can't go wrong. Welcome everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing some coaching of a game that we have been sent in. We've got a whole bunch of people here, and we are doing this live on Twitch, so if you see some follows pop up, then that's why. That's just a little hint to the people that are in the chat to follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thesableyes. Hello, Jordan. How are you?
Not too bad, Mitch.
That's good. Blake, how are you doing?
I'm also doing fine.
Excellent. And Sam, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate.
Good, excellent. So we have got this particular game between Formula 1 Man and BenKill20. That's a very aggressive username. And we're going to have a little bit of a look-see and kind of critique and let you know about some of the reasons why the plays are being made, or talk through what we would have done in that situation. So we'll just hit play and we'll go from here. The first thing that you need to do in Pokemon is win the coin flip. So hopefully Formula 1 Man wins the coin flip here because he sent it in. Alright, well he's made his first mistake.
Oh, there's the first mistake. He
no.
chose Tails.
That's a big issue.
Tails is always wrong.
Okay, so in this situation, and this happens all the time, when you get terrible top decks like this, and you want to start with a Pokemon, Jordan, tell us what you would normally start by doing. Because there's no good starter here.
I mean, in this specific scenario of this hand, like, there's not a huge difference between these two Pokemon. Like, usually, especially since you're holding the escape board, I'd be prioritizing, firstly, a non-GX Pokemon so that it could be scoop up and out of the active potentially, and secondly, a Pokemon with one retreat cost, which I believe are categories that both of these Pokemon are most likely to have. So when it comes down to that, it more depends on which of these two Pokemon you're more likely to be scooping up out of play. So, for example, I would say you're probably quite likely to be wanting to scoop up that Jirachi Prism, of course. You're not going to want that in play for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Fiona is also going to be removing itself from play most likely throughout the game due to its ability. So, in this scenario, they're very similar. I would probably lean towards the Fiona just because I feel like I'm going to be wanting to hold that Jirachi Prism more so. The Fiona, I can kind of put into play, get rid of it later on, and not have to worry about taking up bench space or a scoop on that.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, as well, in this situation, that the Fiona is pretty good, because I don't know if you've noticed the horror energy at the end there, but this is Dragapult with the Jirachi Prism kind of extra prize engine, so we're being a little bit greedy here, but yeah, we're going to try and do that, and it looks like our opponent has flipped over Fiona and 2 Spiritombs as well. Welcome, Dr. Neo Cortex. I enjoyed playing Crash Bandicoot. Thank you for providing such an entertaining experience. But yeah, no, so we're in a position here where we're playing against Spiritomb, we're playing Dragapult, and it's pretty average. This hand here is pretty awful. You going straight for the money here, Blake? What do you reckon? Is there anything else to do? Probably not.
No, I mean, you're never going to attach that horror energy, and benching the Jirachi just means wasting a scoop up net later on. I think just attaching the escape board is fine here. That way you have the guaranteed retreat, and then, yeah, hopefully you just hit an attachment of the Dragapult, which is all you're after in the first turn.
And it looks like that's what's happened, so we're going to use that quick ball, presumably, to discard either the Malamar or the Dedenne here. It depends what you want to do. For me, I'm probably discarding the Malamar, so we'll wait and see. That looks like what we're doing, which is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got a...
Interestingly, also the Inkay build as well.
Yeah, that's true. So we've got the Malamar. We're being super greedy with this list. By the looks of it.
Maximum greed.
Yeah, super.
I'm guessing there's no hammers.
By the looks of it, it's not so much the Inkay build, it's more just the regular build that has the 1/1 Malamar tech as opposed to the straight, like, full-on Malamar build that focuses on it. So, more of just a niche play. So knowing that Malamar is in the discard probably means there's no access to the Malamar line for the rest of the game.
This is my first play I disagree with.
All right, talk us through it, Blake.
He's got everything he needs this turn, but he doesn't need to discard this Dragapult Vmax. Now he risks the chance of missing it next turn. So, if it's me, I'm just holding this hand, evolving, and then playing the Dene down at the start of next turn. Because, as far as I can recall, like Spiritomb decks aren't really known for playing Power Plant, which is the only way you really get punished for holding the Dene here.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. If you know what your opponent is playing, say you're in a best of 3 and you've played 2 games or whatever, and you know what your opponent's got, then if they've got the Power Plant, then sure, go for the Dene. But if you know that they're not playing Power Plant, then it's probably better to hold on to this hand.
Agreement with Blake here.
Yeah, of course you can. Absolutely.
In this scenario, if you end your turn with Fiona and Dragapult in play, you're losing this game because they're just going to retreat to Spiritomb, use that Fiona to gust the ability, bring that Dragapult into the active, and just get a free 2 prize this turn. You're basically lost the game from there. So if you don't at least do something else to have as fodder for the Fiona to promote, then you're very much just going to lose this game in this current ball position.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's true. I forgot about the Fiona play.
I'd also like to point out, like, I know he's probably running a greedy list, but if he is running something like the Ordinary Rod, then discarding both the Dragapult Vmax and the Malamar does give him an opportunity to get them both back.
That is true.
It's almost enough.
Now we're looking here. What are we looking at? We're looking at a potential Zigzagoon play where we could Whirlpool Suction here. So just before we see what happens, Sam, are you making some fun shenanigans to Zigzagoon knock out one of these Spiritombs?
I mean, like, you don't even need, like, depending on what he's running, I assume he's not running the Dimension Door Giratina, because if so, then he would have knockout, I believe, on that Spiritomb on the bench right now, with the current hand that is in play. So if he doesn't have that, then I don't think he can get... Oh, I mean, he can if he uses a Dragapult with Bite. Yeah. I don't think it's worth that risk.
If Fiona to gust up one of the Spiritombs, then knock it out with the combination of Dragapult plus Zigzagoon shenanigans. That is basically wasting all of the resources in your hand, and most importantly, leaving the Dragapult in the active, which I want that thing sitting safe on the bench until it becomes a VMAX, personally. So
I feel like the only way that play is ever worth it is if you run the Giratina, because you should be able to chip the other Spiritomb enough to where you can knock out the one that has 2 damage counters on it already, and then potentially gust up the other one, which has 3 damage counters on it, and then you can knock it out. So then it leaves him with just a Fiona and 2 Spiritombs down. But if you don't have the Giratina, there's literally no reason to take that risk.
Yeah, fair enough. Blake, what about you? Are you going for it, or are you just going to let it slip?
If he does play the Giratina, there's a world where if he promotes the wrong Spiritomb after you Dimension Door with Fiona, then you can knock out both of his Spiritombs and leave him with just a Fiona and no energy on the field. Which might be worth it, considering you don't have a supporter next turn.
That is what Sam just said, but that's okay. That's okay. We got there. So let's see if it happens. We'll see what goes on here.
Oh yeah, it's definitely...
I can't imagine he runs that Giratina, by the way. Like, judging on how much other stuff he already has in this list, I just can't see him having room for it.
So we're getting calls in the chat saying Formula 1 Man thinks for a long time here. So looks like we are just going to go for the pass, and fair enough too. It would have been a bit of a...
So that means he probably doesn't have Giratina.
Probably, but that's okay.
Because he would have searched through his deck earlier.
Even if you do have Giratina, you kind of need to use both of your Mysterious Treasures to pull it off, right?
Yeah.
And that means you're not getting any access to your Dragapult Vmax next turn, which is probably the more important thing overall. Granted, there's no energy or draw supporter in the hand right now anyway, so it's kind of average regardless. You kind of need to draw.
That's the only reason I would approve of taking out just one knockout, just because you need to either get another energy or a draw supporter for next turn for your game to progress.
And I will say this as well: if you hold on to the Zigzagoon here, then if your opponent does put extra damage counters on and you don't draw into something, then the Zigzagoon and the double scoop up net gives you a chance to draw out of the prizes. So if you
there is potential
brick there, then you're in trouble.
There is potential that Formula 1 Man can take 3 knockouts on his next turn.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and he's a better hand than this, obviously, but it can certainly happen. And obviously, it's quite likely that we'll see the opponent activate the ability from Spiritomb.
He's going to go down 2 prizes this turn.
Yeah, but it'll quite likely make it easier to actually pull off the Zigzagoon knockout plays because he's going to have more damage counters on the board.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting, but it all kind of depends on how our opponent tries to go about it here.
And we had the confirmation in the chat that there is no Distortion or Giratina in the list, so that answers our question.
Yes, so
Yeah.
no Tina, so that makes a lot
We
of
knew
sense.
there was. I mean, to be fair, we would have known that because I think he did one deck search at a stage, and he would have probably looked in there, and if he had it, he would have gone
relies
for
on
that
us
play.
paying attention, Sam. Come on, man.
I try and
Ben
play.
Gill just had like a very weird turn. I know we're not commenting on his play, but he just like danced around with a couple bull search cards in order to not discard something, which I think he just like
Discarded anyway.
Yeah,
No,
if
he
just played
preserved the
Pokemon-
Spiritomb. He preserved the Spiritomb by doing the Pokecom.
Which is fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's an important thing to save, considering it is quite likely, in fact, as long as this hand is somewhat decent. with the
So
top
the Dene gets knocked out here, I believe. I think it's perfect knockout right now with Anguish Cry.
Yeah, but it's still the right Pokemon to promote because you need your attack.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
So
you would
there's
never put the Dragapult
There's
up
never
there.
a world where that is a bad decision. It's always annoying
No,
for Fiona.
yeah.
But that's that's the reason you get to choose actually putting all of the damage counters onto this Spiritomb here. So
This is going to be an interesting turn.
Yeah, that's like I just
Yeah,
said.
if he
so.
top decks an energy or a supporter, then crazy times could be ahead of us. You could take
Yeah.
three prizes in one turn.
that was a good play from Ben, I think, because I think he is trying to make it as likely as possible that his bench Spiritomb doesn't die.
card.
But
That's
it's
gonna help.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so we've
that
got
he
our
has
Okay,
this hand.
the switch could help because like he can play down the Ziggy and then scoop up net at once, and he can get an extra prize, and that could potentially get him out of the situation.
Well,
Yeah,
so,
you get one prize card to try and draw out of this terrible hand.
Yeah, so this is what we're looking for here. We're going to Zigzagoon the active, and it looks like that is what Formula 1 Man is going for. So we do need to find something good off of the prizes. So that's the second rule for Pokemon, is when you need to draw well, and then you'll win, right?
Well, I'm guessing he's going to because this is the featured game.
Jirachi.
Ooh, that's
So
Ooh,
that's,
that's a
something.
very
That's
good card.
something, right? That's something.
That is incredibly good.
Okay, so...
Again, like spinner or
Can you
supporter would be
retreat?
fantastic here.
Can we pause it? Can we pause it for a
Yeah,
sec?
of course, absolutely.
Is
What's up?
it ever better to retreat into the Zigzagoon instead, so that you scoop that up, and save the switch for the Jirachi, as the way to get that out of the active?
Does it make any difference? Because you can still scoop the Zigzagoon
No.
here, right? You just
It
retreat
makes
into the
zero
field.
difference.
Yeah, you can do it. You can just do it in the opposite order, where you switch the where you just pick up the Zigzagoon afterwards
Yeah.
and switch the
that's
Jirachi out. But yeah,
It doesn't make it doesn't make any difference. Yeah.
one man going for the treasure before you sell wishes. Obviously, it's a pretty basic play, but always want to be thinning out the deck as much as possible when you've got a big important search coming up. Especially.
Oh wait.
Yeah, that was
Did-
something. There's
did-
something there as well. We've I don't know what's in the discard for Formula 1 Man, but if there was a supporter, then there was the option to go for Mewtwo then. But I don't know if there was or not.
Especially because he was holding two treasures,
Yeah.
and using Great Catcher doesn't seem ideal this turn. I would have rather seen him
he hits
discard the Great Catcher.
research. That's
So
crazy.
we're all good.
I would
go
rather
here.
see him discard the Great Catcher.
Alright, so yeah, like all engines are go. I think like he can get up to 3 knockouts this turn, potentially.
So what we're
I think he's
looking at,
like no.
well, we've already got one. I think the end game for this turn is a knockout on the Jirachi in the active, obviously, and then also the knockout on the Spiritomb, which we can get through the scoop up now on the Zigzagoon. So
Yeah,
we can
literally
choose
he
to
has
hit
everything
into-
he needs.
We can choose to hit into the Dene here, but I think it is better to go with the Jirachi because then you're just not going to
Yeah.
you're not going to get punished for it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There's the scoop
Yeah.
up, the Zigzagoon.
Or not Hob, you want to be able to play that scoop up net to get the damage on Spiritomb, because
Yeah.
Spiritomb is quite obviously the biggest target. This is also good because it's going to put Formula 1 Man on 3 prize cards remaining, keeping out of range of that Neoligo. Not that that's like a game-changing card, but you definitely don't want to walk into the 2 prize turn if you've got an easy way to skip it. And he's hit the most important card this turn, which was the Energy Guard he was missing.
Yep.
That's
it's got
fine.
Aura
Another
energy
important
as
thing
well.
to note. Another important thing to
Is
note, I
there
will say, is that the Shrine of Punishment is actually coming to Ben Kill's detriment because it is going to put damage on that Dedenne to put it in range next turn of Max Phantom into chipping something else.
Unless of
Do
course
keep in
he
mind
uses
there's the
jinxes and stuff. So yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
But that's okay. So this is a pretty good spot to ban. 3 prizes to go. You're playing against Spiritomb. You've got 20 damage on it to Dene. Now we're realistically just looking for like a boss's orders, some gust, and we can win the game straight away. So we'll see what happens. But
Also,
our opponent's
quick-
got a
quick
chance here to
question.
do a ton of stuff. Yes, Blake.
Was there a world where rather than hitting the Jirachi that turn, it was better to Fiona and try and get the Jinx into the active position?
I think the risk with the Fion
Because I
is
think
that
the only way
if you Fion, then he just puts the Spiritomb into the active.
That's the problem.
So you want to guarantee
Right,
to get
but
the
just
two
having a
knockouts.
damaged Jirachi in play, it's not really a downside. We're gonna kill it eventually anyway. We just don't get 2 in 1 turn.
Yeah,
I guess, that's fair.
There's not really a
Yeah.
large downside, but there's an upside if he promotes the wrong Pokemon. Like we could just get a free kill on Nihilego or Jinx.
Yeah, that's
Because having multiple Jinxes in play is the only way this Dragapult dies, which is what looks like it's going to happen this turn.
I don't even think it's multiple Jinxes because he has a Hustle Belt. If he just attaches a Rainbow Energy, uses Building Spire, and then uses one Jinx to transfer it across, the Hustle Belt takes it up to 160, and that hits for weakness for 320, gets perfect knockout.
fair. Yeah, so there's no Rainbow, but there's got the double Jinx here, so we'll see what happens.
He has the perfect hand.
More than than it usually would due to not having the rainbow. But on the other hand, if he had left the Jirachi alive, then he would have had access to a Stellar Wish, which could have led to a supporter and therefore got the rainbow anyway. So it's obviously impossible to tell what would have been better there. I think the Jirachi's a fine thing to knock out.
Yeah.
Also, interesting to note that there are two Spiritomb in the discard pile, I believe I just saw, 2 in play. So one more, or like knocking out both of these Spiritombs is almost checkmate because I don't think this deck ever
I think
wins.
he made a mistake. I think Ben Kill made a mistake by benching that Spiritomb because he didn't need the building spike to get the knockout that turn. He had it all off of the Dedene's damage ticks, and now he's opened up a way to lose by losing. Yeah, potential win con.
There's no way for Formula One Man to actually pull off the attack from the Dragapult Vmax this turn, correct?
No, you can't.
No, but he's on 50 damage now.
But you can potentially get the knockout with the first attack, right? But so there's a ton of things that could happen here. But yeah, this is an interesting one. So we're in a position here where we don't know whether we're going to be able to get this Jirachi out of the active. We know we've used lots of scoop ups. We know we've used switch. We're in a position where we could promote the Fion, which is the safe promotion with the escape board, but it doesn't achieve anything for us. And we know we've got the Dragapult V that isn't going to be able to use the first attack for Dragapult Vmax. Is it worth putting the Jirachi into the active here, or is it just the safe move, go to the Fion, and then if you do find a switch, then you can potentially just switch into the Jirachi and switch out anyway? What do we think?
Well,
I
it
like
depends.
promoting the Jirachi.
Whoa.
personally.
Everyone went at once. I should have asked someone specific. Blake, what do you
I
think?
waited for a second and no one immediately chimed in, and then we all waited the same amount of time.
Go for it, Blake. Tell us what you think.
Well, I like promoting the Jirachi because I think this game almost entirely depends on us hitting like combination of boss's orders and scoop up net to win the game by killing both Spiritombs. So we need a scoop up net for the Zigzagoon to kill the active, and then we need to evolve into the VMAX, attach an energy, and hit for 60 on the bench Spiritomb. So we need to hit boss's orders, scoop up net, and a way to switch into that Dragapult this turn. So I think that's the way that this game is won. And I think the only way you're going to realistically do that if you have access to Jirachi.
Fair enough. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, as I was about to say, I was basically going to say the same thing as Blake. Is it really depends on what your aim to do this turn is. Like, if you're content with the board that's in play, like if you think you've got in hand everything you need to have a good chance of winning this game, if you're happy to just put that Dragapult Vmax in the active attached to it, knock out the active Spiritomb or whatever it ends up being, then obviously promoting the Fion is the much safer play. But in this specific scenario, I don't think that the current hand is going to be good enough to win the game, where you're probably going to have to either try and do that powerful play that Blake was saying, where you try and knock out double Spiritomb this turn, which could potentially be quite difficult. Hopefully there's a dead hand deck to dig with the Jirachi plus a Dead change to find all those cards. Otherwise, the other option could just be to go with a potential Marnie play where you just Marnie or reset stand if you're playing it. Try and hope your opponent misses and even stick something else into the active to get a knockout. Potentially playing like a Mew or something, you could get the knockout with Mew, or even just knockout with Zigzagoon. So basically just trying to use something. Actually, it doesn't matter if he's on one prize, so it doesn't even matter having the Mew active.
I will say
So,
this,
yeah,
I think we need to win this turn, but we do play the Jirachi Prism combo, right? So there is that opportunity to get those prizes. So it's not impossible, but it is asking for a little bit. We're going to need to use the Quick Ball and the Mysterious.
That's a lot of cards.
It is a lot of cards. So.
Unrealistic. I think that the double Spiritomb knockout is much more realistic way to win the game.
Or just getting the scoop up net and the reset stamp is really strong too, because that way he needs to find energy.
And also check how
Two
many
cards.
Ben has played, because I know he's used at least the Hostile Belt earlier, one in the active Spiritomb now. If there's no Hostile Belts remaining after this one, then a Dragapult Vmax does not realistically get knocked out by Spiritomb very easily.
That's true. Sam, what do you reckon?
I'm gonna go slightly against the grain here, but it's very like situational, right? So realistically, if and like it's a big if because we haven't really looked through their deck that much. If there is a Dedenne in Formula One Man's deck that he can search out with Quick Ball, I'd probably promote the Fione over the Jirachi, primarily just because if you have a chance to hit Scoop Up Net plus Boss and you have a guaranteed way to retreat into the Dragapult to knock out both Spiritombs this turn, I feel like I understand obviously that Jirachi could Stellar Wish and hit a switch, but it's more of a risk that way compared to if you can Dead Change and you can knock out both Spiritombs and get yourself down to one prize remaining. And as we've seen, I think already 1 or 2 Spiritombs die, and most tomb lists run 3 to 4. Then there could be a position where Benkill doesn't actually have a Pokemon left that could attack a Dragapult VMAX to actually get a substantial knockout. Now, obviously, like I said, this only depends on if there is a Dedenne, in the deck.
Oh, we're getting word in the chat. The Dedenne that was on the field earlier that got knocked out was the only one. So there's no.
Okay, so if it was the only one, then
opportunity.
Jirachi is the appropriate play because there is physically no way that he would be able to get off like the best combo possible. He can potentially do some shenanigans here, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, we've talked about it a lot. Let's click play and see what happens. So it looks like we're thinking about the Jirachi, and I think that the consensus was that Jirachi's
Almost as
probably
much
the
as we
right
did.
play. Yeah, exactly. Except Formula One Man only had 15 seconds. So let's figure it out.
Knowing
All right.
deck, I think-
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we've got the Scoop Up Net. Okay, so now since we've just top decked the Scoop Up Net, knowing that we've got the Jirachi Prism and the Mr. Mime play, what we're doing, right, is we're going to Quick Ball away something, get the Jirachi, Quick Ball, Mysterious Treasure away something, get the Mime, scoop up the Zigzagoon, and then do the play to get the Jirachi on the top and then take the knockout with the Spiritomb, right? That's what we're doing here. It's got to
we
be
need
done.
another. Wait.
So the scoop
No, we
up...
wouldn't.
Wouldn't you
so the
need something like
We only need to make room on the bench for the Jirachi to go down. So I think that sequence of events is the way to go about
Correct.
it.
Yeah, we can just use Fione.
Yeah, you can also just activate Fione.
Yeah, that's true. We can just
Because it
we can
doesn't
just
matter if it's on the bench when we use the Zigzagoon.
Yeah, that is also true. So we're in a pretty strong spot where we do need a Rangaroo as well, right?
Prism
If
activated.
Sorry, Jordan, you're gonna have to say that one again, mate.
I was asking if Jirachi's Prism's ability only works if it's from a knockout from an attack.
No, it's just
when
if
you
take
draw
it
it as a prize card.
So we need
Okay.
a Rangaroo as well. I didn't mention that when I was talking about it. We need a Rangaroo as well, so it's just made slightly harder.
Well, we
Yeah.
have the Quick Ball already, so we have Quick Ball or Treasure to get both cards, so...
But we need the Mime to put it on top as well, right? So we need 3 search
That's
cards.
Treasure.
you probably need to hit
Well,
like another
how are we
quick
getting the
ball off the
Rangaroo
prizes
then?
here.
We need a Rangaroo.
You need to hit another quick ball off
Oh,
the
right, we need
prizes.
the Prism as well,
Alright,
right?
well,
yeah.
let's see what happens. So the Scoop Up is being played. That's going to grab the Zigzagoon, I'm sure. And I think that's probably the
Yeah.
right play here. We're going to use that Zigzagoon at some point to take the knockout on the Spiritomb. And it looks like we're going
Oh, he's doing it
That
right
point
away.
is now.
And that's
Yeah,
fair enough. That's okay, because it means that you can probably...
because if you hit the quick ball
Yeah.
off the prizes, then like the combo really opens up.
Or boss
There it is.
balls.
That's so... Is that enough? Is that enough? I don't think it is.
Oh, wait, no,
That's
we needed
Mysterious
a
Treasure, we
second
needed
Quick
Quick
Ball, not a
Ball.
second Treasure.
We need Quick Ball.
Yeah. All the treasure does is thins out a
And we-
little
and
bit.
we still
Mysterious
have
Treasure
to-
can get...
We
Mysterious Treasure can get Mewtwo now, though.
That's true, but we still have to get the Jirachi out of the active. Also,
I think the Jirachi Prism is that important because as long as you get the knockout on the bench Spiritomb, I think that's the bigger priority. So if you can get a Rangaroo plus Mewtwo to get Boss, I forget if Boss is in the discard or not, then all you would need to do is Stellar Wish into a switch out to get the knockout on the bench Spiritomb, which would not only skip any chance of Spiritomb attacking, but would also be able to skip in the Illigo turn, meaning that Ben would have very limited attacking options on the following turn.
Oh,
Okay, so what
we
we're-
got the perfect promotion, though. He promoted the wrong thing.
yeah, so he's promoted the
Yeah,
Dedenne,
so
that
now
means we get a
Fione can
knockout
just-
on pretty much anything here, because the Fione can bring out anything.
However, like the thing is though, the reason Ben had to do that was because if he didn't put anything else up, then
Then
we
he
just
loses,
attack
yeah.
into that.
Yeah,
Like,
he
it was
didn't-
screwed
it didn't
either
matter.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't matter.
Yeah, so I think the key here is the Mysterious Treasure. If there's a boss in the bin, The mysterious treasure could potentially find a Mewtwo to grab that, but we need to get out of the active. So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
big
but
thing.
now we don't need. Now we don't need because of Fiona. Now we don't need boss. All we need is to find a switch for the Jirachi.
That is true. So we just need to find a
So you
switch.
Switch or a net.
Say again, Jordan.
Is illegal or Jinx good enough?
Knocking
Wait,
out-
hang on. Doesn't the first attack doesn't hit Lego for weakness, so it actually isn't game, right?
The game anyway. You're on 2 prizes. Then the
No,
Jirachi-
so okay, so like realistically, Jordan, I think what we're saying is that what's going to happen is you're going to treasure to get Mewtwo. You're going to Mewtwo to put boss back on top of the deck. You're going to use a Rangaroo to get the boss, and you're going to gust up the Spiritomb and kill it. And the expectation is that there's no more Spiritombs that can be played, so
I
then
was saying,
the game is effectively won.
So that's
Blake
what.
was saying Fiona was enough to win the game, and I'm saying it's not because they can just not promote the Spiritomb.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that the optimal play here is to grab the Mewtwo if the boss is in the bin, and then get the Spiritomb into the active and try and find a switch from there. So let's see what happens. So going for the mysterious treasure, gonna get rid of Marnie.
There's the Mewtwo and the Mime. Both
Okay,
options.
so
We're
we've
going for the
gone
Dragon.
Dragapult. Okay, so
I guess
He
he's
might
doing
be
this 'cause
thin.
he's
He
gonna
might
just-
he might be thinning because he's still got another treasure.
That's
So
true.
let's play it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that's
more.
yeah. He's just going to thin card it. That makes sense.
Cool.
It's
Cool.
smart. Also, it's really good that he puts the research back on top of the deck for next turn.
Okay, he's not thinning.
yeah, so at this point, so yeah, we probably could have got there, but it might be that we're going for rather than I think the thought process here from Formula One Man is I'm going to win the game now. The thing that Jordan and Blake and Sam are all talking about is that if we knock out the last Spiritomb, there's a pretty good chance that our opponent isn't going to be able.
We've effectively
Yeah,
won
we've
the game.
effectively won the game, so it's a safer play. So it looks like now we've kind of locked ourselves into trying to get the big Jirachi Prism playoff. But in this moment, we could have effectively won the game with the boss. But that's okay. We'll see how it plays off.
The other important thing about that is also because if as it stands now, if we miss this turn, we also lock ourselves into him being able to just use Nihilego to win like pretty much any way possible next turn.
Yeah, exactly. So we've drawn
Also,
into a pretty wild hand here, just FYI.
Yeah, like you've hit
Yeah.
everything that you would need. The only issue is, does Shred knock out a Nihilego?
I presume so. I don't know. Let's-
Well,
It doesn't.
Is Shred
It doesn't
affected
hit for
by
weakness.
weakness or resistance?
It works. It hits for weakness.
it
100%.
hits for weakness.
Okay, well,
too,
if Shred works
Is it,
for weakness, then
is it only resist?
Only effects, not.
okay,
resist-
well, if that's the case, the game is done.
Well, it's not done yet
Because
we
he
still
hit the
can't
quick
get the
ball.
Jirachi out of the active. It's still the. It's
Well,
still
I mean,
the
okay,
problem.
all you have to do is hit a hit a
He's just gonna
switcher
Stellar
and
Wish.
Yeah, you still got Stellar Wish. The Fiona doesn't make
because
it goes on the bottom of the deck, so it doesn't affect the Stellar Wish odds.
yeah, and you can still
Well, it
quick ball
does
thin
because he
out,
didn't
get the
quick ball
mime.
first.
True.
So that
He should have quick balled for the mime first.
that quick ball for the mime is probably not a bad idea. Yeah.
Because now, if you see that, if you
That's
Stellar
okay,
Wish
we'll
and you
push
miss
it.
because you saw if you see a Fiona in your top 5 cards and you Stellar Wish, you're gonna be really sad that you didn't just quick ball first.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're waiting on our opponent to choose here because this is
So
live
anything
footage.
that goes up just gets knocked out, right? Because Nihilego and Jinx are both weak to Psychic.
Yeah, so presuming that we can get an attack off, there's going to be a knockout, but it needs to be at this stage. We need to be taking the knockout with the Jirachi in the prizes, right? So it looks like that's going to be the aim of the game here.
So he's got 3 outs in his deck.
Yeah.
He's got 1 scoop up net and 2 switch.
Okay, so we're gonna.
I don't think he's gonna hit it.
It has the
Yeah.
boss from before.
Okay, so there's a sad emote. Now the fact that we were sent this suggests that something is about to happen here. Because we need to put this.
He's gonna Oranguru into it. He's gonna Oranguru into the switch.
No!
Oh my god!
Oh, you're kidding,
my
dude.
word. That's okay.
That's
It happens.
amazing.
Go on, Formula One, man. Tell him he has a
Never
good deck.
punished.
Go on, tell him he has a good deck.
All right, that should have been a Fiona.
Oh, but there you
Wait,
go.
wouldn't-
Okay,
That's how
so
Shred did.
we get the Jirachi, which means we get to take another prize. Amazing off of the top. Good stuff. We'll pause on the victory.
Well, Jordan, I'm
screen
used
here.
to cards that have Shred on them saying this attack isn't affected by weakness or resistance or like just ignoring everything.
Okay, so
Yeah, same.
So in the end there, we managed to get the win. Just managed to pull it off the switch off of the top with the Oranguru. But I think there was pretty much no massive problems with the gameplay of Formula 1 Man there, apart from that one turn where we could have guaranteed the knockout on both Spiritombs, which, though wouldn't have won the game, would have effectively won the game. So ultimately,
it's
a message from a Formula 1 man who just told me that he agrees that going for the Spiritomb boss play would have been better, but he was a bit focused on the Jirachi present play, and I'm kind of glad he was.
Yep.
He wouldn't have got that.
Fair enough. Otherwise,
it's very hype footage. Usually, what it comes down to with most players is most players don't actually make very large mistakes when they play games. What most players do is bad sequencing, which is like, for example, not quick balling for the mine before using the Fione and guaranteeing one more card that you wouldn't have seen of Stellar Wish.
Yeah, so it's
guaranteed.
It's just those little
things.
It's
little stuff like that that improves your gameplay a lot, that a lot of people
I think
miss.
what can happen to as players, and I'm sure we've all been victims of it, is or guilty of it. We always kind of get a bit of tunnel vision. So like I think he just got the tunnel vision of the only way that I can win is doing the Jirachi combo.
Yeah, 100%. And
instead of seeing like I can just knock out both of the Spiritombs, and if I know that my opponent normally would be running 3 Spiritomb and they have no way to recover it, then that should win me the game anyway.
Yeah, that was the first with the discard. So
absolutely.
Assuming the recovery, it would have been pretty well locked up.
For me, the question you shouldn't be asking is, where are my win conditions, like the ones you're used to, but instead asking, what are my win conditions? So, like this game, it was killing all 4 Spiritomb and then being on 1 prize so that Nihilego, his only other relevant attacker, couldn't win him the game. So, him not winning the game was relatively our win condition that game. But instead, we got really lucky off of the Oranguru and we hit the Nutso combo with no Dedenne available, which is crazy.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you said just now, Blake. I think a better wording is maybe instead of saying the way you said it, saying not only what are my win conditions, but what are my opponent's win conditions. Always keep in mind what your opponent's best way to win the game is, because if you can deny your opponent's win condition and deny your opponent from taking the prizes they want to take, then obviously that's going to subsequently lead to you being able to win the game.
Yeah, so ultimately,
yeah, sometimes just denying your opponent's win conditions accidentally leads to you winning the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's easy for us to
I still can't believe he hit the switch.
I know, I can't believe he got the switch off of that Oranguru. We can easily sit here and talk about it, but in the moment it is really, really tough. And that's the thing that makes the difference between a good player and a great player, right? So a great player can spot those little sequencing issues on the fly and figure out the way that they're going to go about it, whereas a good player will do things like this where they'll make plays where the playing is correct, like the line of play is potentially correct, but the order in which things are happening are a little bit awkward. But hey, thank you Blake and Sam and Jordan for coming and providing your commentary on this one. I think that this is a very interesting concept for us going forward.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Good stuff. Thanks, Sam.
Happy to be here, mate. Don't worry.
I thought you turned into a robot for a second. Anyway, we're going to continue on with our stream now. If you want to find more of our stuff, then go to twitch.tv/thesableyes if you're watching this one on YouTube. Apart from that, you can click all the buttons that are on the screen. I'm not going to worry about all that stuff now. We'll see you all next time for more from the Sableyes. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.